Hey, what's going on, everybody? Just getting things set up here. I don't think that the DDO stream is live yet. I think Severlin and them are on yet. Hey, what's up, Work Slash? Should be live any minute. But yeah, guys, I just thought I would, try doing another stream. Been thinking I should probably start doing more live streaming, and this seemed like a cool thing to do. So I'm sitting here. I'm still working at home because of the whole world health situation that I actually can't say on YouTube or I'll get demonetized. But yeah, I'm still working at home from that, so I can actually do things like this on my lunch break for the time being. So I think they've been trying to have these Q&As every month or so. Maybe I'll keep doing this if people like it. I thought it might be fun just to, I don't know, react in real time. I'll probably still do a video on this after after we're all done. I'll probably watch it again the second time and make my normal video, kind of giving a short rundown for people who didn't watch the whole thing or just want my opinion on it. Hey, what's up, Bobby? Good morning. You guys let me know if they're live and I'm missing it. I'm continually refreshing their Twitch page. But when it is live, I will definitely, I will maximize the screen and turn the volume up and everything. So I was thinking of going over the release notes while we were just sitting here waiting, but nothing to say that I haven't said in my other videos. You got the bow changes. You've got the changes for lag. I mean, those are the major ones. Still seeing a lot of people still kind of upset about the proc change. Like a lot more than I thought. Like I thought people might be a little upset by it, but I didn't think that people would be as upset about it as I'm seeing. Like I'm seeing a lot of negative comments, both on the forums, just on the internet in general, and on my videos. Oh, here we go. They're live. So I wasn't sure if on this live stream they would actually get into crunchy stuff because I don't know what they have to talk about other than stuff that they've already talked about. But we'll see. I bet there'll be a lot of questions. I mean, specifically about the proc stuff, the change to the number of attacks in the game. But we'll see if they get into some crunchy stuff. Hopefully, Severlin opens up a little bit and actually, gives us some insights into things we haven't heard yet, or gives some early announcements.
Oops.
And they're live.
Refresh
You all let me know if my volume is
Exposing
too
your
low. I won't talk too much while they're talking.
Ah,
But
fix that. There we are. Okay, I got it now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our latest Q&A with Sev. Normally takes place on our weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream here every Wednesday at noon. We spend an hour talking, playing, and chatting DDO right here on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Today's a big day because we're currently, all the game worlds are down, but the good news is when they come up, we're going to have Update 49 released. So that's Parallel to Planar Eyes. We got a new adventure pack, free to VIPs. We've got all sorts of changes in the works.
probably will be playing.
You can find the release notes and more information about Update 49 at ddo.com/planareyes. PLANAREYES. Planar Eyes. Or, like, always reversed. That thing right there if you just want to spell it out in the middle of chat. Welcome everyone on Twitch, and welcome our executive producer, Severlin. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Great. Nice to have you here for an hour to just kind of do some general Q&A while QA and developers and everyone else get Update 49 ready to release.
Yeah, it makes me feel useful while they're all working hard and I can't like help directly anymore. I used to be able to, and now they don't let me. They don't let me.
The new pack is actually in Lord Smart's Plaza.
All right, so this is a general Q&A. Any kind of question you want to ask, we'll do our best to answer. As usual with this kind of thing, you know, when we're throwing 1,000 questions against the wall, there will be some questions we can't answer, either because we don't have an answer or we need to do additional research, or honestly because it's not really our field of expertise. So, for example, if you want to get well, I actually know that Sev probably could talk enhancement trees with you, but at the same time, that's really more of kind of like for the systems team and things like that. So we're looking for maybe a little bit bigger questions, and otherwise just anything that's on your mind. As long as you ask it nice, we'll do our best to answer it, and everything's been great so far, so we expect another really good Q&A. We do also have some questions on the forums here that we'll get through in the next hour if they don't come up kind of organically in chat here. So, let's start with the softball just to make sure the audio levels are going fine and everything on my end. What is your favorite monster currently in DDO?
Wow, that was a thank you. That was a pleasurable softball question to
you all
start.
know what mine is.
So I've always loved slots ever since I got the
Intent,
Fiend
look at
Folio
my
as a
avatar.
kid. For some reason, there's something that anyone that can make like a giant toad-like creature cool has a thumbs up. But right now, I have to admit, the Displacer Beast. I know it's been a while since it's come out, but man, it looks so good with the animations that probably that's like my number one thing right now.
Nice. All right, let's get to a not softball question, and this is coming from Gemina over on Twitch saying, inventory, when do we get more? I know we also can probably expect some questions about, say, like the mount UI, whether we can do that for other kinds of things as well in the future. I've already heard some people say, can't we do it for permanent hirelings?
The answer is going to
be
so
let's take a look at inventory to start off the Q&A here. Where are we, and what do we think maybe we could do there?
Sure. I don't know if people remember this, but we had like a test of a new character storage system, and the feedback from the players at the time was that there was some UI work that needed to be done, and that got put on the back hold on a hold for a variety of engineering reasons that I don't want to get into. But we definitely need to bring that back, because I think one of the issues with your bank storage for account is there's a lot of character bound items that just can't go in there and they clog up your inventory. The problem with the current character bank inventory is actually behind the scenes. It works the same way as your normal inventory. And so that means that as you travel from server to server, it gets carried along. And one of the reasons that we've never increased is we don't want to increase the size of the characters as they move from back-end server to back-end server. So once we finish the UI and make it slick for character bank, then we would definitely want to have that replace the current character bank. We just want to make sure that the players don't feel it's a downgrade, because and then that will make characters smaller. It will make the characters moving from place to place faster, and it will end up allowing us to add a lot more character storage to the characters. So that's one of the things that we want to do in terms of that, if you're talking about storage. That's probably something that we have slated for this year, but engineering is at a premium. We have some kick-ass
There's a
new
lot of bounty
engineers
character stuff
now,
they should
and we've
probably
expanded the
consider
engineer
making down to
team,
account.
but they're still coming up to speed, and there's some tech
That
debt
would
that
help.
we need to go through once they are up and running.
All right. Let me head over to YouTube for our next question. I know that this is on the minds of quite a few players here this afternoon. This comes from Robert over on YouTube. What is our intended direction for battlefield abilities like debuffs, slow freeze effects, etc., since we're reducing their effectiveness according to Robert
Yeah,
here
here's the big
with
question.
update 49. What he's talking about specifically is our performance changes that are impacting non-DPS CC abilities. That's something we've been looking at in recent weeks on Lamania, but I want to give you an opportunity, Rob, here. Just kind of, what's the roadmap? What are we planning to do, if anything, about debuffs and such post-update 49?
So we're definitely making some changes based on performance, and those changes specifically are hitting double strike and double shot. And just as an aside, these are important changes for performance, but let's not kid ourselves that this is going to totally solve performance issues. The more we look at performance, the more we realize that it's kind of like a problem of 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, the question
and this
is how much
will
is it going to
help
help?
some players
Hopefully it's
significantly,
substantial.
but it's not going to be like there'll be no lag tonight. Like, I just don't want to have that expectation. However, double strike and double shot, especially in raids and big groups, can significantly increase. Now, what we're running into is we're trying to go through and make changes so that the procs remain relatively the same where we can, and there are some things that we're going to have to go ongoing. However, there are some builds that are really effective, like, Arcane Archer Paralyzing Shot with Precise Shot can keep a lot of stuff locked down. It's very effective, and I think that it will still be effective when we, tonight and going forward. So that's something that we need to look at in, like, how effective does that really need to be? In terms of the non-double shot and non-double strike stuff, we'll look at that because it's not really our intention to nerf stuff like spells or anything. And if you're seeing stuff like that as a side effect of the proc changes, we definitely want to look into that.
One of the things I know the systems team has been really
I'm not seeing a
careful
lot
and
of people
cautious on
using
and
paralyzing
talked publicly
arrows
about on Lamania is
in
that
epics,
any
but it is pretty good
solution,
in
any
heroics.
improvement in CC procs, for
I don't
example, just
see
to
it
kind of use a
very much.
shorthand term for a specific kind of thing that is actually a little bit specific. That's a little too broad a term, but whatever. All right, let's just say that we want to do something about CC procs. We need to be super careful that we don't undo the performance work that's being done here. Any kind of thing that's going to cause that effects queue to back up again is not a solution to the problem.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's
right. The other thing that we've done is we've also found some interesting lag issues revolving around monks centering and barbarians raging, which we have been able to sort of back end find some much more solutions, and the players won't see any change in the gameplay, but those things will also be more efficient. We've seen some lag, but that won't be for tonight. We actually just found that, and I thought the players might find that interesting.
All right.
Okay, so there's a lot of questions coming.
There are, yes.
So we're in the middle of the Epic Destiny revamp. The Players Council has begun to sunk their teeth into it, and so you will be seeing more information on the Epic Destiny revamp soon as we go through it. It's pretty cool. It will work much more like the heroic trees. So I think it's going to be exciting and open up a lot of new builds, and quite frankly will be balanced so that more of the trees are useful.
As long as we're answering some of the
grinding.
more critical questions that we've been, getting in recent weeks, let's talk a little bit about some of the questions with customer service. I'm seeing a little bit on Facebook about what are we doing to improve customer service. There was a fairly pointed criticism on Twitch chat here about our customer service team. So what are we doing about our ability to respond quickly and effectively to players in DDO here?
So right now, one of the issues is that our customer service
Yeah, this
is
is a
split
problem.
in
I've had a
two.
ticket open for months.
Half of it is being put through this in-game system that goes into a separate queue, and half of it is being put in an out-of-game system that's being put into a separate queue. And our people have to go through that and then find out when people are offline and check what they need to do. They didn't have tools to find out like specific account information without doing all of these stuff, all of these jumping through all of these hoops. So one of the things is we need one queue so that the agents aren't running back and forth and the players have some
Yeah, they really need to
specific
fix this. The
queue to
Q&A's
go
been
to. So that's one of the
garbly.
things we're working
People
on. They
responding to
also have
tickets
new
has been
tools now
terrible.
that they can address things offline, and they can see in more information about like what account this is and is the player online without having to actually look at every single character individually. And they can also fix things and look at the inventory with tools to look at a character while they're offline. This is going to be a tremendous boon in helping them get through the various areas more quickly, and it will consolidate the tickets so that we can more quickly go through them. What will probably happen is the in-game ticketing system we're looking at, we don't know that that's the best way to do it. So it might be that you click a button and it opens up your browser and you enter a ticket that way. Because the other thing that's taking them a lot of time is that there's a lot of duplicate tickets, and it takes them a lot of
Hey, what's up,
time to
Shadow?
manually go
Thanks
through
for stopping
and
by.
go through each ticket to see, okay, this is a duplicate, how are we doing this? With our new tools and with the tickets all in one place, all of that should be faster and more efficient. I think that my
Hmm.
only concern is that there will be some changes to how
Oh
you
no, I
enter
think
a
Court
ticket
Evan
that the
will
players
remain
will
the
have to get
community
used
manager.
to, and we don't want the players to feel as
Thank you,
though
though.
we're trying to redirect them. What'll end up happening is it'll just be a unified area, and that's what we're looking at right now. But the new tools behind the scenes that we've put to our QA servers, which aren't live yet, are like really slick. They let people do things in the with characters while they're offline, and it lets
Yeah, if
the
they can
people
address
look at the
tickets when we're
inventory.
offline, that would be a
And the
huge,
other issue is that
huge
there are things
improvement.
that are
Because
causing
right now, if you all
issues
don't know, you have
with
to actually be
them
logged on on that
that
character if you have a problem with
like
that
will go
character.
away. For instance, with
So
the
for
new
them to
ED
help you
system, like the ED
is obviously a
reincarnation
problem.
is just going to be completely rewritten, and so a lot of the ED problems that people have had traditionally just go away soon.
I did actually see a question on Twitch chat somewhere about that Epic Destiny bug, where we've had a few people having their uh, Epic Destiny is not properly kind of reproc after reincarnation and such. What's going on there? Do we know?
This has been a long,
Yeah,
long
it seems to
standing
be some
rare
kind of
bug.
performance hitch. If there's a performance hitch, it can rarely happen. And with the amount of
For
people
those of
that
you who
are
don't know,
actually
occasionally when someone
reincarnating,
PRs,
the
they can lose
percentage
like
is
all
very
of their
low,
Epic
but when it hits
Destiny
you, it can be devastating. But since the
XP
new
and
Epic Destiny
Karma and all
doesn't use
that,
that system at all, it's completely
and even their
different.
tomes and stuff.
Then, at least from behind the scenes, how reincarnation will work, like that whole system is basically going to be much more stable.
Is there a technical reason we
Yeah, Shadow,
haven't
I've been waiting for months. I
received
bought
more
an augment on the
challenges like
store,
Vaults
and
of the
the store gave me the wrong
Artificer
augment.
or
I
the
put in a
ones in the
ticket. It's been
Evening
months.
Star?
Yeah, it's a balance issue. Or right now, our how can I put this? We have had many designers work on the game over the years, and there have been many philosophies and ways of balancing creatures. Many of those have been haphazard, and the realities of how we balance modern day, as opposed to like even 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago, are very different. Well, the challenges use a programmatic system for balancing during level that we're not entirely
Everyone's
happy
a nice
with.
guy. I've met
So
him in
making new
person.
challenges means that there are certain levels that it would be a tremendous amount of
As
work
are all the DDO
to
people that I've met
change
in
all the
person. Just a few of
programmatic
them.
balancing of that, because the current system actually uses a tier of creatures rather than something programmatic like, say, Reaper mode. And so we would have to basically redo that in order to get the balance working so that players were challenged. The other issue is the challenge mode uses tech that the variation of challenge mode, the tech uses the various levels to give you different creatures at different level, but our players are very used now to having a wide range and a lot of control over the challenge that they want to see in the game. In other words, if you do a dungeon, you might want to do it on,
Yeah, Shadow, I mean, he's got a hard
you
job.
had a mentally challenging day. You may want to do it on normal
A lot of
because
public
you don't
scrutiny.
really want the challenge, and then other people are like, well, I'm not happy unless I'm dying 72 times in this dungeon. But groups as they form, we leave it to the players to sort of determine a level of challenge. These challenges don't really offer that, so that's doing a double. These challenge all not only balance for level, but also offer that challenge is kind of a exponential problem of offering a number of difficulties. Does that make sense? Am I
Mhm.
explaining that?
So frankly, don't expect any more Evening Star challenges anytime soon.
Well, I don't want to say ever,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm
there's
fine with
some
that. I've never
significant
been challenges are
challenges.
okay, but
Man, I don't
I've
want
never
to.
been that big on them.
There's some
We're totally
significant.
gonna do it now. You know
Yeah,
we're gonna do it now.
let
Yeah.
me let me use challenges in 3 different ways in the same sentence. There are
Yeah.
Honestly,
challenges
I
doing the
rarely run
challenge because the
challenges.
challenge level isn't good. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, there's some things we'd have to rework to make challenges fun for the players, who now expect being able to fine tune how difficult their content is.
Tough underscore RPG on Twitch has a question. I don't know that you can specifically address, but I could mention quick. Any word about what was going on with the extreme inventory lag happening mostly on hardcore over the weekend and such, and in recent days? Yeah, we've had one of our tech ops people that was doing some work yesterday related to that. There's some kind of storage related. There was a storage related issue of sorts that had to get addressed yesterday, and they're continuing to look into that today.
Yeah, it was an infrastructure problem that was very real, and we have fixed most of it, but I think there was still some issues as of yesterday that we also have fixed. So that should be cleared up. At least that's the specific hardcore things that you were seeing.
What about the new champions on hardcore coming to the live servers?
If we did that, we would do it as a festival type limited limited
Kind of disappointing.
event. The issue with that is we don't have the tech to auto change champions based on a world property right now. And we could do that if there was a demand for it. Right now, that's one of the things that the hardcore people kind of look forward to is like, how do we figure out the new
I'd be
champions?
totally down for some
I
champions
don't,
on the regular
I
server.
want to be careful because there are people who love they have their way of playing the game. And when you throw in curveballs, sometimes it can be more frustrating than fun. And when you're going to a brand new hardcore server, you're expecting that kind of thing. But when you're trying to get through TR and all of a sudden the champions are different and you have to relearn them, we just want to make sure that the players are all on board and that is a fun opportunity rather than a frustrating one.
We have a user on Twitch that is apparently by name Home Alone who wants to know basically, can we have more ways to protect our account? What about two-factor authentication?
Two-factor authentication is something that we've talked about and we would love to do. So you get the thumbs up for that suggestion. It's a matter of engineering resources. Now that we have new kick-ass engineers and we're going through and cleaning up some tech debt, that is something that I would like to see happen maybe next year. It depends on how quickly we can get through the tech debt. One of the things is the studio has some tremendous plans this year, despite being remote. Salt Marsh looks really cool, and
Give us a
we have
date.
other games that are doing some really cool stuff too. So we want to make sure that we have time for everything. But yes, like that, I think that that's a great idea and something that we would love to do in the long term. Yes, two-factor authentication would be opt-in.
This is kind of a weird question, and we can't really talk about licensors, but Growler wants to know basically has Wizards of the Coast ever rejected any of our settings or game features?
Oh, they're not gonna tell
I
us.
don't think it really works generally like that. We've been it's usually a little more collaborative, I think, than that, right?
Wizards of the Coast have been great, and
Yeah.
They
not,
have mentioned
this
that
is
there
not
are
a forum
certain
where I
things
would
that
talk
Watson
about
has been
licensing,
insisted
and
on. Like
it's
apparently,
out of
the
scope
Evening
of
Star
what this
Keys
kind of
cooldown
is.
is one
Yeah.
of
I
these
know
things.
everybody would love
Where
to talk
Watson
about
insisted
how
be a
cool it
certain
is to
length or
work with
something.
Wizards of the Coast, and yes, it is cool. So we'll like I don't want to.
Hey,
I
what's
don't
up,
think
brother
that going
Buzz?
into the details
Yeah.
behind the scenes is really in the scope of what we want to talk about.
Part of why I bring it up is, I've been doing this more than 10 years, and I can't really think of anything major. So,
No, they have talked about the Evening Star
but-
Key thing.
They're
on the
great.
forums.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of off the top of my
Let's
head.
see.
I like Pirate Champs. I think that would be a cool idea. Now that I'm kind
Or
of
Greyhawk.
reading through this,
Oh, new monster manuals. That came up on the forums, too. Let's bring that one up. The producer's letter mentioned new monster manuals. What's up and when? Do we know?
yeah, like they're queued up currently. I'll look into that. I know that there was some work done on them. I have to figure out when exactly more will be released. But yeah, that is definitely in our future. That's a great question that I don't actually have an answer for right now, and I probably should. So, good job on that.
Cool.
I wonder if new skin for cursor. I wonder if we could move the cursor out in the same way we do skins for various background objects, so people could just put in their own anims for cursors.
You don't need more than one key.
That would be interesting.
I don't know why it works that way. It's tied to favor.
Any
Maybe
update on
that's why.
possible drow
Yes,
racial,
brother.
or hopefully a
Today's
non-elf
update
alternative?
is an adventure pack. It's free to VIP. Yes.
I don't know specifically
in
what
the
you're talking
Lord's
about
March
that. I would
Classic.
like to get
It's
a
4
new
quests, I
kind
believe.
of drow in game at some point. That is definitely on our radar. I would love to get Joe to narrate. Joe, if
Believe
you're
it
watching
is
this, send me an
12
email.
heroic and
We'll work
32
something out.
legendary.
UI scaling is a priority. It's actually, when we looked into it, a giant amount of work. Not only is not necessarily because the engineering, but because
Icons.
redoing every
icon.
icon in the game at twice the size actually is a giant project. And when you want UI scaling to scale up or scale down smoothly without a lot of pixelization, it turns out that doing all of the icon and UI work that can deal with that and has the fidelity to deal with that is actually like remarkably expensive. And it's one of those things that, not being, all the artists out there are like, of course that's expensive, but like until you sort of look at it and see it. So we definitely want to do that. Particularly 4K support is something that's important and on our radar that we need to do. But if you're wondering like where that is going, that's why. Will we ever get new hairstyles, colors in the DDO store? I suspect new hairstyles and colors will be coming out. We definitely have some good ideas for that that we'd like to do, and we will get to that probably.
Yeah, Shadow, they got to make
early
money.
next
I
year,
mean,
maybe even later this
can't
year.
give it free to everybody.
Thunderkiss wants to know Isle of Dread ? I'm going to interpolate or interpret that as are we still getting
free
Isle of
quests
Dread?
from time to time though?
All of our artists are super excited to work on dinosaurs and would love to do Isle of Dread, and all of our people are super excited about doing an Isle of Dread type thing, but I have nothing officially to announce at this time about when that may or may not come out.
Someone is over on Facebook saying
I think
any
Isle of Dread
chance
will
of
be
more
end of next
classic
year. That's my
modules.
prediction.
Just in case you don't know, yes. And that is next after today.
Yeah, like our next thing is doing the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. That's something based on that module series. So that should be super cool. I believe that I don't want to spoil anything.
That's probably
going
gonna
to
come early fall.
Giant-sized creatures that Ari's working on even now.
Maybe
so
late
that
2021
is coming. Obviously we've talked about Isle of Dread and our desire to do that. that is coming. And we're always looking for good classic modules to do. Bone Hill. Oh my God, that's a blast from the past. Yes, there are a number of modules that I would love to see done. So that we will continue to do classic
Yeah,
modules.
Jeff, they're definitely doing Salt Marsh.
We
It's
love
coming
doing
later
them. The
this year
players get
sometime. They just
nostalgic
haven't
for
told us
them,
when.
and we will. That is definitely a high priority.
But it's their
Probably next
next.
to obviously
They're
Salt
calling it a
Marsh
mini expansion.
is going on. Yes, Salt Marsh does have a I'm pretty sure it has a wilderness zone. I hope they don't. I hope I'm
Good
not
if
wrong
it
on
doesn't.
that, but I think it has
Players aren't gonna like that.
an area like that.
Expansion.
Matt 6 DDO, is a mount that isn't a horse ever in the plans?
Oh yeah, of course. Like one of the mounts
Yeah,
I
they're
want
1,000%
is
gonna do this.
well, I mean, flying carpet is probably a must-have at some point, even though they won't fly up, right? Because we don't want to add flying to the game, despite some of the kind of cooler quests we've had in Sharn where you do. I would like a giant gelatinous cube that you're kind of
I
paralyzed
bet they'll
in,
do
you
an
move
owlbear.
around in,
I think
for
that's
instance.
pretty
But
obvious
yeah, there's definitely some, like one of the cool things about DDO is doing all sorts of weird mounts that you can ride. So yeah, there'll be other mounts. Let's see, what new
Hey, I'm not
things will
grumpy. Maybe I just
VIPs
come off
get?
that
We're
way.
constantly evaluating what
Kinda
our
sleepy, though.
value for VIP
Didn't really
is
sleep well last
and
night.
what cool new things we can give them. We want to be careful that we don't give them like power boosts over normal players. But like, yeah, VIP. One of the things we're talking about is some of our content will just we'd like some of our content to just cost less for
Yeah,
VIPs.
Keep on the Borderlands was awesome. That's gotta be
the
the best
mini
adventure pack
expansion.
they've
Like
done.
the VIPs will just
What, the
pay
last
less for
3,
it.
4 years,
The
I
problem
would say.
is we're still working on the tech for that, so I can't make promises on that
Keep
because
on
if the
Borderlands
tech
is
doesn't come
fantastic.
in or
I
is
wish every
more
adventure pack was like that.
complex than we thought, then we want to be careful that we're not promising anything in case
Felt
that
like an old
happens.
school adventure pack, honestly.
I had thought you'd address this earlier, but just in case, we have some questions about what will it actually take to get cosmetic storage in the game?
So the problem with cosmetic storage is unlike mounts. So a mount can't be modified. The thing that you click on a mount is a static item. So making storage or
Smoker, there are a bunch of range buffs
viewport
in this patch. I would
was
read the
made
patch
by our
notes
kick-ass devs.
or the update notes.
A
It's for
storage
U49
area rather than a bag.
Basically, they buffed
is
several
possible.
feats.
Cosmetics
DPS
are
should be
made
better
from
on bonus,
items
even though
by
they did
modifying
nerf
them. So
some
there's a
name
whole bunch
boards.
of change properties under there, and they're not one unified item like some of our other things. So doing that means that everything about that item and all of the modified properties can be stored instead of just essentially an ID that describes the static item. That complicates it. So if we did some kind of storage for cosmetics, it would more likely be kind of like a character bank rather than like the mount UI inventory. And that's the kind of behind the scenes reason why we do that. The static cosmetics as expansion cosmetics are not. Yes, they don't change in the same way that mirror stuff does. I think though that the way they're implemented still are still
Brandon,
items
there
that
are
can be
cosmetic
mutated,
weapons
which means
you can
that
use. I'm not
they
sure
are
if that
not
would work to
static
transfer
IDs. I'd have
bastard
to look
swords
at that
to
though.
two-handed.
I don't know that we would.
But
I don't know that
there
we
might be
would want
something
to
you can do.
introduce something that would treat some cosmetic storage works with this and some doesn't. And I know that DDO has a lot of special cases already, and people will be like, yeah, but this works that way. But we don't want to increase the amount of things that happen that way. So
The one exception.
the store preview takes actually creates an effect that modifies your character and applies it temporarily to your character.
So
That
whether
has
other things can be added to a store preview, I think depends on whether it's implemented as that kind of effect, right?
right, and
Yeah.
each one is done by hand. I don't, as I recall, there isn't like a unified way to do that. They have to actually create an effect version of each of those to do it. Um, uh, we want to be careful for hardcore because
Yeah,
we
Brandon,
want
more
them to be good
hairstyles would be
enough that the hardcore people like
personally. I
them,
wish
but
they
we
would
also
add
don't
beards
want
to
them to be
PDKs.
so
That's like
good
the
that the
one thing that I
non-hardcore
want.
people that don't like that kind of play feel
Because
obligated to do
obviously
it.
I like beards,
Maybe, you know,
and
maybe if you want
I
to
can't
go
put
in
one on my
and try to
character.
get to level 20, that's not that bad, but some of them we walk a fine line there. But I think that so I'm concerned about if we had the community involved, that it would become the hardcore people would be pushing for better and better rewards, and the people who like don't want to be forced to go to hardcore people might like actually balk against that. So walking that line is something that we're very concerned about in terms of that.
Yeah, they need to keep
John
hardcore
Malkovich.
rewards
I would be honored if
more
John
cosmetic.
Malkovich would play me in the
The
DDO
mounts are cool
movie.
though.
John, if
Maybe
you're out there,
some utility
contact
things,
me.
definitely
Yeah,
no power.
right. Uh, I don't know, maybe Jack Black for me. He's way better.
Well, Miguel, I know they do.
All right, what can you tell us
advertise
about
sometimes on
Horizon
social
Walker?
media? I do see
Horizon
DDO ads
Walker
sometimes.
will be will add a lot for bow. It will be a bow focused tree. I'm sure that there will
They
be
did the free
things
to
like
play,
every
the free
universal tree
content last
that
year.
add
So
stuff
they
to
might
a
do that
lot of
again to
different
get more people.
builds, so that there will be ways to go up Horizon Walker and get stuff. Yeah, I think it'll be cool. It will be coming out later this year, and it's being worked on currently. I mean, I'm asking a lot for the devs to be doing Horizon Walker at the same time as an ED revamp, so I appreciate your patience on that. But yeah, it looks cool. We've definitely wanted to do a bow-based universal tree because a lot of people like using bows, and the bow goes across a number of classes, and we don't want the feeling that every single bow user has to be a ranger. So that would be cool.
I've seen
Yeah,
a
we don't
bunch of
know yet,
questions
Smoker.
about when will Feywild be
They really haven't shown
in
us
the
anything on
DDO
Horizon
store.
Walker.
We
They're
don't
still
have an
working on it.
announcement there yet.
It'll
Hopefully
be interesting
we'll
to
have
see
that
what they
soon.
do to
Like
differentiate
when
it
will
from
we be able to
the other
gift in
bow
the
trees.
market again? I've been
I mean,
speaking.
there's probably
I
a
know
pretty
with
good chance it'll
Valero,
be.
who's been working on
It'll
that
probably
front
be
recently. It's
one of the
something we
better
want
trees
to do in the
game, right?
future,
If you
but we
look
don't have an
historically
announcement
at
there
the new
either
Universal
today.
trees. Usually they're pretty good.
Sorry, I was
Like
trying
Falconry
to.
was
I've
really
seen a couple
good.
of people kind of re-ask
Obviously,
the
Inquisitive
questions. I
was
just want to make
overpowered,
sure
so
sort of mention it.
probably going to be at
Not bring it
least
up, even though unfortunately I don't
very
have anything
viable.
new to
I
really
would say at
announce.
minimum. Can't think of a universal enhancement tree that came out and was really awful.
Okay, so reincarnation is something that like we love that the players do, but one of the things is you never have to reincarnate to play any of the content in the game because we offer it like at a wide variety of difficulties. You can experience every quest in the game without ever having to reincarnate. The other thing I would like to do is I would like to find a system that if you group with
I don't know,
somebody,
Robert.
and I've talked about this before, I think if you group with somebody that has a lot of extra power from reincarnations or even Reaper, we would love a way that if the group leader has that, they can contribute some of that power. If the people who are in the group don't have that, and we've been talking about a system to do that, where you group with a group leader, and this group leader
Robert,
has
I don't
built
really
up
know
their
enough about
leadership
the D,
power, and you know that it's
dice
good to group with
counts of
them
some
because
of the
when you're a low-level
other
character
bows
groups with
around
them,
different
I
various
don't mean
levels to really give
low-level,
an
I
answer to
mean
that question.
someone who hasn't reincarnated a lot.
Hey, thanks, Sakura, for the
or done a lot of
$5.
Reaper.
Really appreciate that.
While you're in there, you're
Yeah, I'm trying to
boosted by
stream
their
more.
leadership, and will get some of those benefits so that you're not so far behind. That way, people can make effective groups and bring new players through this content at a higher difficulty, so that it's easier to make groups. I would love to have that system. We have some cool plans for making that system. It's a complex system, and we want to make sure it's not easy to abuse. But that'll be something that we can look at once, once we're through Epic Destiny and Saltmarsh is something.
I need to follow up afterwards with Kevin from YouTube's comment, which is, when can shurikens generate key-like bows? I'm actually surprised they don't already.
So from what they're saying, I'm starting to
I would have
think
expected
that
shurikens to.
Salt Marsh is going
I
to be
would
like
have to look.
late
I haven't played in a
2021.
while.
You got to
Actually.
do Horizon Walker
more in
and
Melee,
ED
so
Pass
I'd have to
first.
look at the state of the Shuriken. going forward. I would look at that. Shuriken, like
Stacy, I know
Shuriken,
they've been asked that
were
before, and
top of
basically
the
their answer
tier
was
list
we
for
would like to
so
do
long
cowbirds,
that,
but
like,
they
I
don't have
think
plans to
that
do it right now.
the
So it might
eagerness
happen
to
someday, but
boost
not anytime
them,
soon.
even if they've fallen behind now, probably hasn't been a high priority. But if they have fallen behind, we certainly don't want them to be lagging in terms of not being playable or fun. So I just need to be careful because I think sure can make high use of multi-shot like effects,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I have to look at that before I commit anything to that. Nope, we can still do Forgotten Realms content. And the thing is that our classic packs tend to end up in, you know, classic where, wherever the gatekeepers find themselves. So it's kind of undefined. But yeah, we could go back and do some Forgotten Realms content. Part of it is
Yeah,
going back
Stacy,
and
I would be
forth. We
really
want to
down
make sure
for
we have a good place
a
for attaching it.
definitely for some new
I
melee
wanna make
tree. It
sure
seems
I
like
don't
every new
accidentally
class
cover up your
they have or new
tier or
universal
something on
enhancement tree
camera, but I
range
wanted
or
to look
caster.
up. I know we had some questions on the forums, and I wanted to
Yeah, Robert, I said
see what we
before,
can do to get
I
to them.
just don't know enough
Yeah, a
about
deep
the
dive on itemization is
dice
probably out of
stats
the
of
scope of
various
these.
bows
I
at
mean, if we
different levels
started
to really
talking
answer
about
that
deep
question.
diving
Or to give an
itemization, I could
opinion on it.
sit here for
Sorry.
3 hours and talk about, set bonuses and sentient weapons and all of that, and that's probably not something that is a good use of this space.
All right, let me, if it's okay with folks in chat here, let me just kind of scroll through some of our forum questions and see how many of these we can get through for a little bit. This is from Annex. Have we considered adding permanent Gold Seal hireling creatures to the store? Can we just buy more permanent hirelings, essentially?
What I don't have an answer for that because one of the long-term things I would like to do is actually have a system where you can build your own. And because it's such an early in the stage, I don't want to
Build your
commit
own.
and get people excited about it, or
That's
or
that's a
stop
big announcement.
future design space. So I'm going to do a pass on that. But like,
I mean,
I
he
would
said
like
it
to
wasn't
commit
an
to it.
announcement, but
No, you were briefly, but that's because I was trying to move my monitor over.
kind of
Oh,
mentioned
Yep.
it might happen.
Okay,
yeah,
screwed over.
my freezing is not
Yeah.
my fault.
Nope, it is my fault.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So was that
I want a favorite
Yep,
soul healer
that's-
that can do
appropriately
traps.
vague and frustrating answer?
Yeah, I think we already answered the one about new cosmetic outfits and
Yeah.
new hairstyles as well. When will work be done on improving pets? And by pets, I believe in this case they're talking about, like say the druid wolves and the artificer iron defenders. Some bugs related to augments and such, and pets not maybe scaling well beyond heroics.
One of the things that we do need to do is I would love to do a pass on both pets and summons. Both of those play styles are just not useful. I think that if we had to build a hire, that we would have to address the pets at the same time because we wouldn't want them to eclipse the stuff in game that are part of the class. So those are things that we need to look at. And we need to do a giant pass. I would love to do some kind of summoning based class. And by doing that is the summons would be expensive right now because of pathing, but we want to have an alternate pathing where there are mindless creatures that will basically just kind of run in a straight line towards the enemy and aren't smart enough to like run around corners and chase them through halls, but they would only appear for a short amount of time, do their damage, and then you'd have to resummon them. But that's a long-term goal that I don't know if the design team agrees on about how cool that would be.
All right, I've seen we already talked about CC procs, the monster manual, customer service, Salt Marsh. When is Crystal Cove coming back? That'll be within a few months here, is my understanding. I think we're targeting sometime between now and midsummer or something like that.
Yeah, usually Crystal Cove is a summer thing. I don't I don't know that you'll ever have hirelings that are super smart. One is we don't want them to be better than players, but a hireling comes around and is
Our
using
hirelings are
you, and
stupid.
sometimes it gets confused and you have to actually like
I'm
click on it to
actually
tell it what
okay.
to
I'm
do.
actually kind of okay with that because there should be
Kind
incentives to
of
group
like the
with people.
skilling
I'm kind of okay
stage.
with
I
hirelings
think
being
that
dumb. When people
it's
complain about that, I'm like,
tolerable
yeah,
with
they're kind of
healers. It's
should
harder
be
with the
dumb.
tank
Like if you want a
hirelings.
human, play with a human.
In terms of like getting them to do what they're supposed to, but we also don't want players to be able to use hirelings to be completely safe. I think that there's some pendulum work that, like, yeah, we could make them better without ever getting to that point. And I think that when we do a companion pass, some of that could be done. But yeah, hireling uses its own skill. Like setting them to not move forward yet and having them not running them into traps and clicking on them and knowing when they'll heal you successfully and when they won't. Also, like the sometimes the hirelings they're not as
You know,
they're
Mazza, I
more
didn't say
susceptible
that.
to CC to you.
But I
So
do think
I've
there
been
should
in
be an
groups where
incentive to like actually
they're
play
like,
with
why does the
people. They
hireling
shouldn't be as
heal
good
me?
as
But actually, the
regular
hireling
players.
is
They should
like
be a little dumb.
paralyzed or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it.
I
And your saving throws are high and they're not. So
I was using a level 5 rogue hireling on hardcore quite effectively yesterday. That person was
Yeah, I
doing
kind of feel the
great.
same way with summoning.
But
It's like
that's
it should
neither
be
here nor there. Okay, this one
doable,
comes from
like as a
Emily on the
flavor
forums.
build,
Some
but it shouldn't be
enhancement
like
trees still need some
meta
work.
at all.
Cleric, Radiant Servant, Divine Disciple, Wizard Archmage, in particular. Will these be done next year? I think the
Please do
intention
Radiant
is this
Servant.
something we can
Please,
focus on after Epic Death.
please.
yeah, I mean,
Better Radiant Burst.
so yes and no. Our tree balance is ongoing because by the time we get through and do some of these trees, some of the old trees will have changed and not be as useful with the meta. So it's a constant rebalance. And we've gone through, and part of it is that sometimes the devs, when they can sink their teeth into a tree, want to do too much and rewrite the whole tree instead of just doing small boosts to it. Sometimes you know we
Also, War
want to look
Priest
into
needs
it,
an
and
actual
sometimes
pass.
honestly
Is the last one. I don't know
be
what the
like,
last
oh,
one
a lot
was,
of
but it wasn't
players
didn't do
have
much to help.
will
Actually,
want
made
this
them
tree to
worse.
be boosted, but then we look into it and we find that like there are some players with some builds with these trees and play styles that are like they're doing some amazing things
Well,
with
it
these
made War Priest
trees, and
worse
so
in the
we want
meta
to be
because
careful
Falconry
that
came
we
out at the
don't
same time, which is kind of funny.
overboost trees that maybe like um, it isn't as apparent on how hard they are to use. But that's an ongoing thing. The answer to your question is yes, and the answer to your question is when we get to them, we will always get to them. We're always doing them. You'll see
Hey
that the
Brandon, thanks for
devs
the
are
$5.
constantly
And about the
boosting.
5e
Like as part
equipment
of
from the
the
Far
build
East,
past,
katana,
we've
such, they've
tweaked
talked.
trees
I
and
remember correctly,
some
they've talked about a
some things
samurai
on
as
that. I think
possibility, or
Wizard
some people have thrown out the
Archmage is
idea of
one
samurai
that I would have
as a
liked
potential
to
new
see
class.
get done
I think that would
maybe
be
with
really
some of
cool.
the
Like
spell
some
pass
melee
stuff, but I
focused new
think that
class
we
would be
can look at
awesome.
that. I know that Eldritch Knight has
Whatever
got
it is, I definitely hope the next new class is made.
for instance, as one of those, and that is something that we could look at.
When I'm looking through the rest of the questions, I see a couple of kind of wish lists. Can we have types like perhaps new kinds of monster manuals, adding Reaper to monster manuals. I see a request to let the shards of power, adamantine ore, and other items become stackable someday. That's a good one, right? Let's see. I guess the last wish list question from the forums here. Let's take this one from Alric. What about doing a low level raid in the future?
Yeah.
So what we found is that the raids that we do have at the leveling things are underutilized because the goal of the players is not at that level to be to really get together in group and do challenging content. It's more of
Get
building
XP.
your character. That level of play at those levels tends to fall into two areas. One is we have a lot of groups that play DDO like they play Dungeons and Dragons. They never go into looking for group because they get together like in their small group every week and play it in the same manner that they might do D&D. So they're not going to be interested in raids. And then we have a lot of players that do it, that kind of group and solo through as they go through the content. And they like going through the content. So the reincarnation is a reason for them to revisit it, maybe as different characters. So the raids that are low level tend to be underutilized. And yeah, we could do something where a high level raid also had a low level version, and we do that. But I think that that's a lot of work for something that won't be engaged in a large amount of the player base that we can see. So we want to be careful that we're spending our precious dev time on stuff.
I don't know how much of that's
brings
true.
joy
I mean,
to
a lot of
those
people run
players.
Chronoscope
That doesn't mean that
at
we
low
don't want
levels.
to spend
A
time
lot of people
on,
run Tempest Spine at
alternate
low
play
levels.
styles. We just want to be careful that we're not.
I think as long as it was very puggable,
we don't
a low
introduce
level
something
raid
that
would be
just
fine.
doesn't get played.
But obviously, offering in-game ones. But if they could just make a low level version easily, then that would be fine. Okay, that is not me. They just lost volume.
I think
Oh, it's back.
I may be misremembering.
That was not me. That was them.
Sorry, my mic was muted real quick there. Sorry. I was asking quickly about the Titan raid because that came up in Twitch chat about, we kind of
If I
ignored it.
recall correctly, when confronted by the prospect of redoing the Titan raid, there's a certain level of horror on the faces of the devs. And I think that is a large degree of why we haven't gone to that, because I think that the complexity of that particular raid, I hear things when talking about that raid where it would be easier for us to rewrite than to revisit. There are some raids that were a lot, like they were a thing, and there was a lot of work done. And there's also a lot of our content that is not done in the manner that we do things today. They found alternate ways of doing it because we have a very powerful scripting system. So when people go in and look at it, all of the scripting is custom done in a way that isn't. And I think that that's one of the raids that we looked at and was like, oh my god, trying to redo this would be a giant amount of work, akin to a rewrite. So that is something that we'll look at. I do like the concept of reusing the assets for it.
Yeah, Jeff, you definitely aren't alone.
Doing something like that. Well, I mean, the loot is if you're looking.
That's probably the least fun raid in the game.
That might be something that would be more possible. It is something that we're looking. We're always looking at kind of old content that's beloved by the players that we can give new life to. I like doing that because I like that in the game. So yeah, those are some good suggestions.
I saw this both on Facebook and YouTube. So let me ask about those old scroll seal. This is a hard one to say out loud. Scroll seal shard items. Needing help. Question mark, I guess, is the end of that one.
Yeah, am I spoiling by saying I thought that the kind of redesign and revamp of that was part of Saltmarsh?
Oh, is it? That may be. I know that there's been ideas kicking around for a while.
Really,
I didn't know if that got slated into Saltmarsh or not.
I don't think they announced that Scroll Seal Shard was part of Saltmarsh yet.
Maybe we're speaking out of school here. I guess I'll have to follow up.
Another surprise announcement.
At least been some work thinking about
if Seb really let that slip.
There's been a lot of discussion on it, and I thought that that's one of that was one of the things that we were maybe the devs would be mad because
I'm thinking
he just let that slip.
Oh my god, you just committed us to. No, it's fine. No,
they want to do that. We are unlikely to
maybe not.
Try to implement deities coming down to the game when you're unconscious. It's not something that I think that we want to try to do. I think that when your deity appears in game, the chances of it not being up to the par of
Later Shadow
you imagined is too high. We'll leave the deity stuff in the form of powers. Your deity role is your priest casting raised dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's see. Where are we going? Minnesota, the Underdark gear. Yeah, if we go into all of the old cool content that probably could use updated gear, like I think that we just blow away our hour. So we would love to do more sentient gem stuff. I know that a lot of people do turn them off, and it's not their thing, but a lot of people do like them and like getting new ones for a change of pace. Um, let's see, Three Barrel Cove with my guild. Let's see, updates on server merge. There are a lot of the namespace problems with server merges are tremendous, and it's something that we would have to solve. But so remember when I talked about mega servers? We ran into a problem where there are some limitations on what we call our master server that that kind of keeps track of all of the server executables in a specific shard. And when I say shard world, that when we looked at doing the mega server technology, there was significant work there, and so that was what held us up in the back end. And that is not an easy thing to solve. So if you're wondering what happened with that, we just hit functional limitations for how
Hey
many
guys, I don't think it's gonna happen.
shards could be attached to a single master.
Server merges are not gonna happen. My prediction.
We've
And yeah,
had,
Jeff, some are
someone
really good, like the
across
Shadow,
board
like
say,
there's
"When are we fixing that Knight of the Chat? Let's capstone." That would be really probably more of a question for systems, I think.
Probably.
But yeah, most shard seal
like
scroll stuff
I
is
probably
really bad.
am not going to get into the specific enhancement fixes like that, and in the Ask Seb question. Interface quality of life stuff. Actually, we've kind of been going through some interface stuff that recently, particularly in like character creation. So, but that'll be a long-term thing. That I don't have anything to announce on there. Oh, has the cuckoo clock been fixed yet? That's one for you.
No, unfortunately. I've not had time, plus I think it might be above my skill level to fix, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. But there's a chance that, unfortunately, Mr. Cuckoo is gone on to the great Balsa Wood Beyond, so... Yep.
I think someday we could do character naming a little differently, because most of our characters are done by ID, not name. But nothing to announce now.
Yeah.
Gifting. So the reason we do one of the issues with gifting is every time we do gifting, it makes it tempts people to try to steal your accounts. So we have to be very careful on that.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, one of the things about gifting is that as soon as an account can give their stuff away, then there's a temptation to steal accounts and do shenanigans with stuff that we don't like. So we're very careful about that. It also behind the scenes encourages people to do server shenanigans that we don't like. So we're careful on that. If people
yeah, Jeff, check out the anniversary code, because you can get a Sword of Shatter for free.
Kind of
there's a code that's good till the end of the year.
Structure issue there, but so we want to be, so that's why we're cautious in not rushing to add that until we have a
Masako, what he's talking about is if they allow gifting, then that incentivizes people to steal, because then people would have an incentive to hack your accounts, because then they could sell them essentially out of game to people. So that would open up a kind of a black market of people hacking, stealing, and then selling accounts. That's what they're referring to.
Real quick, while
not
we're
accounts,
waiting for
but
that
specific
last
things on
question,
accounts.
so let me ask this one: where are we on hardcore? I currently just hit level 6, and I have not died yet. So I'm taking it super slow and super steady, and so far super successfully. I also have a level 4 rogue that I've been doing, so I can kind of pop between when I'm helping run with groups. I can either be a cleric or a rogue. So I've got a level 4 I'm currently leveling up as well. So. But HC hardcore has been going great. So
someone asked some questions about customer service, and we talked about that earlier. I think that, like, later when this finds its way to YouTube, you can kind of look at some of the cool new tools we have on that will make it easier for the CS to help you with items. I think that there's some offhand double strike supposed to cap at 50. I think that one of the issues we were having with that was performance, but I can look into that.
Yeah, that's the offhand double strike capping at 50 is part of the performance changes that are going up here in 49. So
Yeah, I mean, we don't want two weapon fighters to get to the point where they're exponentially increasing the amount of hits.
yeah, and my understanding is that was largely just based on the numerical feedback that was being seen on the Monia. So
Yeah. I'm sure we make a lot of stuff much harder on ourselves and Alice in Wonderland. Oh my God! Like one of the classic packs that we could do is the Alice in Wonderland.
yeah, Adventureland and Land Beyond the Magic
Yeah,
Mirror.
yeah. The problem is, so I have a love-hate relationship with that. I love doing the Zoria quests, which are very much like that and crazy and zany. But that's not something that you do like over and over again as you're leveling. You do it once and it was like super cool. The problem with Alice in Wonderland quests is like you get those are the kind of like keystone lot of work quests that we definitely want to put in the game, and they're definitely cool. And then people play them once and says that adventure was cool. I'm never doing that again. You know what I mean? So like and there is we do want to have quests like that because I think that they add a lot of variety and delight to players. But it's not like we don't want to have too many because sometimes you just need some XP. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, stuff like Terminal Delirium comes to mind. Like that's like a one done.
Someone is asking about the bonus weekend. We have a Buddy Boost kicking off this weekend. That'll kick off Thursday late morning Eastern time and run through Sunday. So that I believe will be plus 5% XP for every member in your party or raid group other than yourself.
I appreciate changing gender on Lesser Incarnation. I would love to do that. I agree with it in theory, but I'd have to look into what effect. I think there's a technical limitation on that. That we ran into a problem when we looked at that. But yes, thumbs up on being able to do that for Lesser Reincarnation. But let me look into that. I'm pretty sure there was some weird kind of gnarly technical reason that was a problem. A racial or universal undead form. Have you been talking to our devs again? Yeah.
Yeah.
Revenant Universal Tree has come up in the
Yeah, if they
past.
sell it from time to time in the store. It's not always
So,
available.
And I think it would be cool where the higher up in the tree you go, like your character kind of changes. There are certain effects that can affect you. We would love to do that. We actually talked about doing that for Ravenloft, but unfortunately, the actual tech to make you appear more and more undead was out of scope of doing that.
All right, we're at 101 here, so why don't I know both you and I have to do other things here, and we've got our game getting updated and reopened to the world here in the relatively near future. So we kind of need to head off here. So we have a good final question, maybe? Anything that's kind of you're seeing there?
Good final question.
Yeah. Otherwise, I've got one, but if you've got one, I've got one.
Nightmare Mount, likely. Crafting bonus days anytime soon, likely. Is there a reason why warlocks don't get away to bypass elemental defense? They are so good already. They're so good already. Like they could like I don't know that we wanted to do everything. Any sneak peeks for the future? I mean, we've kind of hinted at a dinosaur themed update, so I'm gonna leave it for that. And yeah, Legendary Titan, please. I'll ask. I wasn't expecting to get so much Titan love this Q&A. You always surprise me with like what's going to be the surprise topic of this time. And like today, it's apparently Titan love. We love the Titan raid. So yeah, like I was not expecting to do a deep dive into the possibility of redoing Titan Rave.
Yep. Something about the potential of facing off against a, Warforged juggernaut with lasers. Pretty awesome. They're not lasers, but you know what I mean.
I don't know that Elminster is.
Yeah.
stuck in the demon web, you know how he is.
Yeah.
What he tells you and maybe what the reality of the situation is isn't always the same. Let's just say that.
Yeah. All right, I think we should probably wrap it up here. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone in chat on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. We'll be doing another one of these. We're kind of targeting month-ish, roughly, on these. Something about every 4 to 6 weeks, whatever makes sense, right?
But he needs to hear me that often.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. But they'd love you here every week, but you got other stuff to do too. So I'll be back next Wednesday with more on the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream. We're presumably going to play through the Peril of the Planar Eyes new adventure pack that releases later today on DDO.com. Thanks very much, Sev, for joining us here today.
Okay, thank you, everyone. It
Jeff,
was a
I'm
pleasure,
totally down
and,
for a quest with
I hope
sharks with
you-
freaking
you
lasers
are
on their head.
enjoying the new content
I love
tonight.
that.
Yep. Thanks. See you, everyone.
So we'd probably have to do underwater. It'd probably have to be an underwater quest. So people don't like that. So I don't know how that would work. Well, I guess that's it. I guess, yeah. Is there any other questions or comments you guys have? If not, I'm gonna probably end the stream because I've got to go back to work. I am, like I said, I'm still working at home because of my workplace has me working at home because of the whole virus situation still. So, not anything else. I'm gonna end the stream. But I will probably do a video on this. I mean, I think overall it was about what I expected. Severalin definitely let a few things slip that gave us a look into what they could possibly be doing. I think it might have given us a better idea of when to expect Saltmarsh. I'm thinking based on his comments, probably late this year. But I'll probably do a video kind of breaking this down like I normally. So Jeff says, will you get 1 million plat for an end reward? I don't know what you're referring to. I guess with the sharks thing. All right, guys. Well, you all have a good rest of your day. I've got to go back to work, so you all take care. I will see you with a video probably in the next few days. I've been thinking about doing more live streams. One thing I'm going to do is I'll probably do another stream with Aldbar DDO in, let's see, probably in about a week, maybe 2 weeks, something like that, talking about Update 49 quests. I know I talked back and forth with him, on email recently. So I think we'll do that. I might try to bring in another YouTube, like DDO YouTuber as well. So that's something to look out for. But guys, yeah, that's going to be it for the stream. You all have a good rest of your day. I'll see y'all next time.